What's up, beautiful creators? I am Brittney Janae, a DP and video editor in Los Angeles, California. What if I told you all that I turned this room into this bedroom? Let's get into it. So location scouting is important for various reasons, but the biggest reason is to really help amplify the director's vision for your short film, your commercial, or your music video production. In this case, the director wanted something moody and intimate for a bedroom. The director sent us reference images to paint the picture of what he wanted the bedroom to look like. We then went on Peerspace and found a beautiful warehouse in downtown Los Angeles that fitted perfectly. So then the only thing left to do was to check out the space to make sure it was exactly what we envisioned. So whenever you scout, these are the top 5 things to look for. The first one I want to talk about would be space and size. And the reason why you want to check for that is because the images online are beautiful and they show the location in such a beautiful way. However, there are some instances where I've been location scouting and it was way tighter and way smaller than the actual space. And I wouldn't have known that if I didn't go location scouting. So the first thing I am gonna look at is how big my space is. So usually we have a set designer that goes location scouting. We also bring the gaffer in. So the set designer usually has some kind of measuring tool that would allow us to see how tall the space is from the floor to the ceiling and how wide. That also gives them a chance to see what all they can bring in. If you want a bedroom scene, you have to bring in a bed, as well as with equipment, how much space we actually really have to fulfill everything that we're going to want to, and will it be enough just for the full crew as well as the talent. So the second thing that you want to look for when you're location scouting is lighting, which is why I love to bring my gaffer to location scouts with me. There are 3 different components when it comes to lighting. The first one being house lights. So when you're in your space, you want to see where the house lights are, how dim they can get. Can you turn them on or off? Because sometimes you can't. And you also want to make sure that if you're going to be bringing your own lighting, if there's a fixture, can you put your lights in that space and occupy it? And the second thing would be practicals. So of course, any lamps that are already there, will they work? Would you need to bring your own bulbs? Like this lamp behind me is so beautiful. However, it may not get dim. So maybe I need to bring my own bulb to make sure I can control it. So practicals are really amazing if you're doing certain scenes where maybe someone's watching TV and you want to use the practical, a lamp, or a television, and turn that on. So things like that really help, but they can also hinder if you don't want them in your space. The third thing would be beautiful windows that I have on the side of me. You want to just check out how all the windows are in the space, how much light they're letting in, because again, sometimes they might help you, but in our instance, they were going to be a hindrance because we wanted it to be, again, moody and very intimate. So you want to see where the windows are, how much light is coming in. Luckily, we had some frost on these windows, and this window was so far from the location that it wasn't going to really affect our shots, but you definitely want to make sure you check that. And with that, you also want to just check the sun, the natural light, what's happening in the space. And I like to use Sunseeker, and I'll give you guys one quick tip. You usually want a location scout around the time that you're actually going to be shooting, but if you can't, Sunseeker really helps because it is an app that allows you to see where the sun is going to be at that particular time. So all you do is hold your phone up, open up the app, and then you can kind of see from 8 a.m. to literally 8 p.m. where the sun is going to be, and then that will also help you in your pre-production phase. So the next thing you want to look for, of course, would be power. When we shot here, power was huge because we were shooting 5 performances all in different spaces. So the number one thing we wanted to look for was where were the plugs. Making sure that if we were using practicals or lamps, that plugs were going to be available in the spaces that we were shooting in, as well as generators. Do we need a generator? Like we were, using a lot of lighting for all 5 performances. And so making sure we have enough power to not only run the lights, but also run audio, also run all the cameras, also run every single thing that we needed was going to be on one circuit if we needed it to be. But if not, knowing how how much power we're available to have in the space is super important, because there are times where the power goes out because there's something that messed the whole thing up and then you don't have a production. So making sure you have enough power. Do you need extension cables because the plugs aren't where you need them to be, really is so key when you are location scouting. The biggest tip when it comes to power is really knowing where the electrical circuits are, because if power does go out, you need to know how to fix it really quickly so that you can continue on with your production. So the next thing that you want to check is sound. So there are two things when it comes to sound that I always like to check for, and the first one being environmental sound. So when we shot, we didn't necessarily need sound because we were shooting music videos and we knew we were going to put music on top. However, if you're doing short films or commercials that are going to require sound in post, environmental sounds are so key because those are things that you cannot control. So for instance, today we're in this warehouse, but it is so busy outside. Like, we are hearing trucks go back and forth every second, and so during production, those are the times where you really have to wait. And you're like playing, and you're saying all of these different things, which is prolonging the time that you have on set. So definitely checking, are you close to the airport? How busy the streets are kids running and playing around in your area? Those are environmental sounds that you want to check. The second one that I will say, of course, is in your area, the reverb, the echo. Like, how bad is it? Do I need a lav or do I need booms? Is your sound mixer gonna have everything that they need? You know, is it gonna be really good quality audio in post for your commercial or your short film or your music video or whatever you're doing? So sound definitely is super key if you're gonna be using that for your video. So the last thing that you want to look for when it comes to your location scout is your composition and framing. When it came to our bedroom scene, I knew automatically that we were gonna have the bed come out forward because we wanted to have the light we were using as street light to be a backlight or a hair light. From there, I also knew that the director wanted the talent to go from sitting to also standing. So knowing your frame really, really helps you, especially when you're in this space. You kind of get a way better feel of how you're gonna actually shoot it. So we were using Arri Alexas as well as Cook lenses, and the director knew exact focal length that he wanted. So we were gonna use a 35, a 50, and we had an option to use a wide. But the main two with the jib and steady were gonna be a 35 and a 50 mil. So with that, I decided to go in and do a little framing so that it can also help our storyboard a little bit better. So I decided to use the Artemis app. What this app allows me to do is enter in all of my information, such as my camera and my lenses, to get a more accurate vision of how I'm going to want the frame for that particular shot. In these frames, I can see what's in the shot, what's not in the shot, how the lighting is gonna be, really the full composition, which is what's needed when you location scout. So that is a wrap. Thank you all so much for going on this location scout with me. I hope that those 5 tips helped you on your next location scout for your production. Now, the only thing left to say is, get out. Thank you all so much for coming, and I'll see you all again in the next one. Bye.